going, and we're live.
Yeah, but it's a good thing I didn't throw away these papers that has all my maps on it
Your
because I'm
maps.
my maps, yeah, because it's like I'm coming. I'm just, now that the campaign is like 4 or 5 days in, it's like I'm coming back to it, trying to make sure that trying to make sure that I don't know, I'm on track or whatever. And it's like
Right.
I don't know, like I kind of like to temper my expectation because I went to kick track
Oh God.
just to check on
God.
something.
Please.
And that
And you
shit
saw your
has
$25,000
thousand. Yeah,
campaign.
I know. Yeah, and it says like 25,000, and it's like this is why people bug out.
They sure do.
This is why people bug out, because they go to these things and they get these delusions of grandeur in their heads, and they don't pay attention to what's
Because
actually
these
going on.
motherfuckers don't understand what projections are based on.
Right, yeah.
Like,
It's like, yeah,
dude,
okay, my first day made $1,000. That doesn't mean every day after that is making
if
$1,000.
your
So,
first day made 1,000, you'll be lucky if your last does. But
you're
nothing
right,
in
no,
the
for real.
middle. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Good morning,
So,
everyone. It is February 9th, 2024, and this is the Rage Into the Vlogs.
huh,
Yes. And we are here this morning for
uh,
stuff.
for stuff,
Yes,
yeah.
for stuff.
We're just
We're
making this up as we go along,
we're
people.
just we're completely making this up. It's just
Yeah.
madness over here.
Oh
You
my
ready for this,
goodness.
Daphne?
Absolutely not, but hit it.
Go. Good morning, Daphne.
Good morning, Nita. And you almost didn't make it either. You were sleeping
No,
in,
I was
weren't
sleeping.
you?
I was sleeping.
I was supposed to call you to wake you up, but
Failed me. You failed me. No,
no,
really. I got up. I just I don't know, man. I was in a funk. And then I'm like,
right.
why am I in a funk? Everything is going great for me right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But you are trying to wean yourself off of edibles. So at least the synthetic stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that shit's for the birds.
Right.
Now I can
Yeah.
see again.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so how's your eyesight? Because I know
Much
that
better, much
oh, that's
better.
good. That's good. Because you had a little, I guess, a little glitch after your stroke.
Yeah, it's.
Right.
I mean, it's still not perfect, but
Right.
I'm getting to where I can read again,
Oh,
and
that's
just
good.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not doing too great, like reading. I'm good to post or
Mhm.
whatever, and browse, like scroll through
Right.
Facebook and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
But like as far as like e-reading,
Not
no.
yet. Not
But
yet.
I'm good on paper.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Good
so
on
there you
paper.
go.
I think the background light fucks with me after a little bit.
Oh,
That
that's true.
and my prescription is probably due to be changed.
Well, yeah,
And
mine
I'm
too.
just reluctant to do it because we have new insurance and all that fucking adult shit. And
Right.
the new insurance does not cover as much as the old did. Like
Mm.
I got the fucking top-notch progressive trifocal shit with no lines and
Right.
semi-fades and progressive and everything else.
All the
Like
new insurance, all you get are two
fucking
Coke
goddamn
bottles with on
right.
wire, right?
Right. Or they keep wanting to give me contacts, and I'm like, you guys want me to jab my goddamn eyes out? Because that is one thing I cannot do. I've tried repeatedly.
Right. Yeah.
It's not there. It's not for me. It's not.
I
It's
mean,
just not.
ever since my eyesight kind of like switched to a point where even not wearing contacts, that
Oh, when
like
you hit that 45 switch, like
well, it's like, yeah, that I still need to wear glasses even if I'm wearing contacts. It's like I haven't been wearing contacts. It's like, if I'm going to wear glasses, I'm going to wear glasses. You know, the only time I wear contacts is if I'm like traveling or going outside and I need to see distance. And then I combine that with reading glasses. But in general, it's like I've just been glasses all the time now. Because it's like, if I have to wear glasses, what's the point? Contacts. But so who's joining us in the chat today for
we
this Friday
have
morning?
HR says hello.
Hello.
We got Michael
Hello,
in the house. Good morning, Michael.
Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Man of the morning that we were talking about today.
Sir.
And yes, I see you, my beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. If you are watching us from Facebook, if you're watching us from Twitter, come on over to YouTube. You know, join the sexy people in the chat, keep them company. Because Facebook, even now, it still sometimes gives us trouble. And Twitter, yeah, okay, we can see your comments, but you know,
and LinkedIn, we don't know what the fuck to do with you. We're just here.
Yeah, just
hi,
come over to
LinkedIn.
YouTube.
Come on,
it's a lot
YouTube.
easier for us to conversate. You know, so so I guess I might as well get this Friday, this rather I don't know, a rather sedate Friday. Hello, Plungecast. You know, this rather sedate Friday, which I keep saying because I have to keep reminding myself that it's Friday.
It's a beautiful Friday. We
Yes,
got all kinds of shit to talk about, Daphne.
That's true. Yeah, I know, right?
Crazy over here.
You know.
Let's do some introductions.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? So hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I'm tired. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
And I am known for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which returns to Kickstarter later on this year with the new story arc, Tears of the Mother, with a re-release of issues 1 through 5 and the brand new issue 6. So keep an eye out for that. And currently, and you know, most of the time, I am known for my medieval fantasy drama, Eager Raven, Heir the First Unicorn, which is on Kickstarter right now as we speak. Links are in the show notes below. It is the release of issue 8 out of this 15-issue story arc. I still can't believe I'm like already like halfway-ish, you know, through, you know, 8. Being actually a little bit more than halfway out of 15. It's just crazy that it's like we are at this point right now. But links are in the show notes below if you haven't pledged to this fantasy story yet. So it links in the show notes below. And in the meantime, you can read both my comics online at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, and Tall Tales, TAILS online.com. And you can also check out all my videos, all 500 and something videos on how I make my comics here at YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, LAGER, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. And to tell you more about it, here's Sleepyhead Nita.
Yeah, right. Okay, so like Indie Comics Network, we got all kinds of stuff. We got shows every day of the week, and we got more people coming on, which we'll talk more about later. You can find us at Indie Comics Net anywhere on social media, and if that doesn't work, at Indie Comics Network, because our .com is malfunctioning, and we
so you can find us at Indie Comics.
.com.
No, Indie Comics Network.
Yeah. We're just gonna take it.
Yeah, we're just gonna. Okay, yeah. So what you had to do? You just had to reinstall it.
Well, it's still not up. It's malfunctioning.
Oh, it's still malfunctioning.
Yes, but I think I've got the problem solved. I just have to get in contact with the servers directly, and DreamHost, and work something out, because something went down with the redirects to YouTube, and they changed the coding or something.
Right. Okay, that's what I figured, that it had to have been something like YouTube changed something and broke.
Right.
Yeah. You know, or it could be that, I don't know, maybe they don't allow redirects directly to YouTube anymore.
And if they don't, that's fine. We're very easy to find.
That's
Network. It's easy. You hit Google and we're everywhere, dude.
Oh, there you go. That's good. That's
the power of a name change.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, that was crazy that it's like we changed the name and it's like we appeared. It's like Godzilla on the radar.
Right? We were a bleep. Now we're a bloop.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I think it's been day 5. Since I launched Eagle Raven on Monday. We launched Eagle Raven on Monday for those of you who missed it. So we have 21 days to go on the campaign. And I don't know, it's I don't know. It's like I'm kind of like feeling not weird about the whole thing, but I guess it's like I don't know, like Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut was such a stressful campaign that having this time off in between campaigns and then doing this one, it's like it's kind of I don't know, I wouldn't say relaxing, but the thing is, it's just helping me remember certain things, and it's like I don't know. It's this whole vacation thing. It's like we talked a lot about it last week, but still though, it's like it really helped me like kind of like refocus on what I should be concerned about or not concerned about. And especially with this campaign, because a while ago, because like I said, we were speaking about the maths at the beginning of the at the intro. And, just a while ago, I did kind of like just some quick maps on like the statistics of my campaigns. It's because especially like lately hearing like all these stories about all of these other creators kind of like freaking out about their campaigns and how things are going on Kickstarter.
Right.
And actually I was surprised. By the way, it's like I would like to thank the 105 people who have pledged to my campaign so far. We have broken the stretch goal, the milestone at 2,500. We're at $2,501. I want to wait to see if I want to wait until it grows a little bit more before actually officially unlocking the first chapter. But at the same time, it's like, you know what?
Yeah, because that $1's the backer fund.
Right. Yeah, that dollar is that's true. It's the creative.
You are 2,500
on the dot, technically. So but I just want to. I don't know. It's like I would feel more comfortable if it kind of like moved a little bit more forward.
And it will.
But, right, but like because like I said, I went on KickTrack. I forgot what I was looking for on KickTrack. And I came, in a second, I saw my campaign and I was looking for something on my campaign and it said that I was on track to make $25,000. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, how many creators, would go to KickTrack and think that that's realistic for them?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I mean, it's like, yes, KickTrack. I understand that my campaign made over $1,000 on the first day, but that doesn't mean every day is going to be like that.
Especially the first timers. It's so sad when a client hires me.
Right.
And then they go to KickTrack and they DM me and they're like, send me a screenshot. And they have these phenomenal projections. And I'm
right.
Like, I always have to be the one to burst that bubble. And
right.
that sucks because then they think I'm just being negative and smashing their
right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like, no, dude, I'm being realistic.
Right. And that's kind of the thing. So so I was like kind of like in the context of my campaign, right? So it's like, okay, especially since when I was looking at this, I was actually at 95 backers. So the fact that overnight it jumped to 105 was actually pretty nice. So like I said, a little bit ago, I did some statistical kind of maths on my on my campaign and like how my campaigns and kind of like just to kind of give me I don't know, just kind of give me a sense of what of expectation, especially since I don't know, last year was kind of like a mental roller coaster, especially Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut performing the way it did or didn't, depending on how how we defined how it was supposed to perform. So for Eagle Raven, now the thing is though, with these numbers, I did not count Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut because it was an outlier campaign, and I didn't want it to mess up my numbers,
Right.
little as I'm using them. So according to all my previous Eagle Raven campaigns, my average backer falls at around 152. So 21 days, it's like, yeah, I think that that could still happen, that I could reach my,
Absolutely.
and not really worry about it. Because in the end, that's all I'm expecting this campaign to do. It's just pretty much average, as long as it's consistent. That's the thing that really became a focus for me, is making sure my campaigns are at least consistent. It's like I've seen, like, I don't know, it's like I don't understand the people who it's like they have campaigns that perform a certain way. Like, okay, they have a campaign that hypothetically makes like $1,500 every time they release a book, and then on their next campaign, oh, let's set the goal to 3,000, right? And I'm looking at this, and I see this and I go, what made you think that your campaign can make 3,000 when you've
Correct.
when you've never made that money before? Right. And we were talking about I'm not talking about kind of like the secret expectation. It's like where you set your goal at 500, but you really want to make 3,000. I'm not talking about that. It's like I'm talking about people who actually set their goal to their needs, not what their campaign actually does.
Right.
And one has nothing to do with the other. And it's like, and I always wanted to make sure that I'm not making that same mistake. Actually, on this campaign, I actually lowered my goal. Right. Usually I set my goals to like 1,500, which it's not that I didn't think that I wasn't going to make $1,500. Hey, Grant. But considering the trends that I was seeing on Kickstarter, I felt like I didn't want to take the chance.
Right.
So I lowered my goal to 1,000. I figured, okay, you know what? I think 1,000 is a good number. It's low enough. Well, it's neither low nor high enough to make anybody suspicious.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because when I started doing Kickstarters, I set the goal at like 500, and people would literally be texting me going, it's like, why is your goal so low? Right. Like they would literally be suspicious. And it's like, well, because I just want to fund and move on, and it's like, well, why is your goal so low? Don't you need to pay for things? And so, that's why I ended up jumping to 1,500, because that seemed to be a nice balance. But like I said, with the trends that I was seeing on Kickstarter, I didn't want to take a chance. So I was like, okay, let me just lower it to 1,000 and then let's see what happens. And it's like, and like I said, it's like in the end, I ended up making the 1,500 in about the same time as I would have made it before. So technically it was an unnecessary move for me, but I don't know. I felt better being able to fund a little bit earlier and getting that out of the way. And then just waking up to 2,500 today was actually kind of nice, because like, oh, okay. So we finally broke that first stretch goal. So now the trick is making sure that I at least hit my average in terms of backers.
Right.
Because on my last campaign, I made 233 I had 233 backers. I don't think, yeah. I mean, that's always, everything's going to be an experiment, Grant. Grant is saying, I'm curious to see how my next Kickstarter does, because it is a new title. That's yeah, I'll mention that in a minute. So at this point, because my hope was that people who pledged to Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut would jump over to the main series. You came for the porn, now stay for the story. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'm kind of keeping my expectations low on that. And yeah, and it's like, so so yes, I figured it's like, you know what, as long as I stay around my average. Well, what happened there? What was that?
Well, spraying something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It gets stagnant in here. I have no ventilation or whatever, and it's
right,
like
just to give it a little something, you know. Meanwhile, I have the opposite problem with too many windows. It's like, you know, so yeah, so I'm just, you know, kind of like, as long as I stay consistent, I'll be okay, you
Right.
know. Because that's also the thing too, that Grant brings up a good point, because also another thing that I was seeing that oh yes, I do. Grant's saying I do a horror comic and a fantasy comic, and I have to say the overlap in backers is very small.
right.
Funny you should mention that, Grant. Because one of the things that I was also seeing that, you know, like watching people freak out over is that it's like, oh, I don't understand why my book isn't doing better. You know, it's like that, you know, that question, you know, it's like, I don't understand why, you know, and but the funny thing is that when you talk to them a little bit more, you realize that what they're doing is that they're taking all of their, like, especially if they do different types of books, right? And they're putting them all together in their aggregate number, I guess, if I'm saying that correctly. It's like they're aggregating the number from all their campaigns into this one. So it's like, well, if my last campaign, like there was this one guy says, oh, my last campaign made over $4,000, but now my new campaign couldn't even make a $2,000 goal. And then again, you look at the two books and it's like, well, your last book that made $5,000 was a YA fantasy.
Right.
The book you're selling now is a horror comic. I mean, it's coincidentally, that's what Grant was talking about.
But I'll put this out there. You can say the genre skipping is the issue, but it is not. I have seen creators focus in the same genre, and still one IP does phenomenally better than the other.
Yeah, no. And that's the exact thing that happens to us. Technically, between me and Jose, we just do fantasy comics. We have 3 fantasy comics. You know, the funny thing is that the overlap is pretty much non-existent between the 3 fantasy comics. And that's what I'm seeing with other people. It's like they're going, oh, they do all these, like, say, superhero comics, right? They have 5 titles that are superhero comics, but they all do wildly different, you know? And it's like, yeah, because they're different titles. Just because something is a superhero comic doesn't mean people are going to collect all your titles. It's the same thing with us. We do fantasy comics. Eagle Raven's a fantasy. Tall Tale's a fantasy. Oswald is a fantasy. If you look at them superficially, they're all fantasy. But between the 3...
Hell, Rob's got 2 fantasy books that are both fucking horror / werewolf books, and his audiences are different.
Right. You know, and it's like, you know, so with between our 3 books, Eagle Raven, Oswald, and Tall Tales, our overlap, the people who collect all 3 books is only 8%. Everything else, we just have completely different audiences. So I can't put Tall Tales, I cannot average the numbers for Tall Tales into Eagle Raven. Yeah. That's ridiculous. It's like one has nothing to do with the other. Just like we can't average Tall Tales into Oswald Chronicles. It's 2 different audiences. So, you know, and the thing is though, is like that's
yes, it's called the backer count.
Yeah, it's because backer count is the only number on your
just don't set expectations.
Right.
Go into this completely new. Be a virgin again, Grant.
Right, I know. And also here's the thing too. There are people who only collect issue 1s.
Right.
So you're going to have that also. You know,
that's in your favor.
You know, affecting you as well. You know, that you're going to have people just collecting issue 1s, but yeah, it's like, you know, but the thing is though, the reality of it is that you're going to be building up your audience again. You know, every time you release a new book, yes, that's exactly. Every time you release a new IP, God, I hate talking like that. A new book, a new title, it's like you have to, unless your audience is already big enough to absorb a new title,
Right.
You're technically building your audience up again. You're technically starting from scratch. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so so I'm watching everybody, I'm watching these people bug out. There's one where, it's like, oh, I don't know why my book isn't doing well. But the problem is that this was the same mistake I made on Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut, is that his book was doing well. It's just that it wasn't doing well in the parameters he had set for it.
Right.
I mean, it's like, out of all his titles, it's his least selling IP. It's his least popular book, but it's doing better than when he put out the first issue. So
did it fund?
Yeah, it did.
Does he have enough to fulfill?
I guess.
Then that is a success.
Right.
I mean, seriously, that's 75% of Kickstarters. I'm so fucking tired of people comparing themselves to the top 2%.
Right.
Motherfucker, they're the top 2. That's like winning the goddamn lottery.
Right.
I mean, yes, it was.
Is your name Neil Gaiman? Are you Keanu Reeves? Have you been running a webtoons for the past 5-10 years that I've never heard about, but it's one of in the top 5 most funded comics on Kickstarter? I mean, is that you? Then it's not you. And you see, and that's the thing, because 75% of people on comics Kickstarter is they fall in the 1,000 and 9,999 range. That's us. That's a majority of us. And it's like, and
you guys are successful, and I'm so
tired
of watching the guys who fucking look at those numbers and they clear 5 to 7, maybe even 8K, and at the end of the day, they're like, I suck.
Right.
Like, bruh, stop.
Yeah. Right.
Stop.
No, it's like, look, it's like, yeah, it's like, it's like Grant says, not gonna lie, I just went in and lowered my minimum after this discussion. I mean, on a first time title, that might be a good idea.
Right.
Because it's like, you want to kind of get the lay of the land on a new title. Because it's like, because what happens is that if you start off with a goal that's too high for an untested title, that in and of itself might scare people off from backing if they see that you're taking too long to fund. I mean, Kickstarter claims that, there's no correlation between the algorithm and how quickly you fund. I have yet to see anybody who believes that.
I don't.
Even in technology Kickstarter, even on whatever, any other genre of Kickstarter, nobody believes that. The first thing that everybody says, you have to fund as quickly as possible.
Right. And I stand by that. If you don't fund within or not necessarily fund, but if you don't have a peak of at least a third of your final goal by the end of the first 48 hours,
that's true. Yeah,
it's going to be a fucking crawl for you.
Yeah. Because I've seen it. It's like, they can't say, this is not happening. Stop gaslighting us.
Yes, stop gaslighting us, Kickstarter. We know.
Yeah, we know what we're looking at. We know what we're looking at. So it's like, so I'm watching my campaign and just trying to like keep myself kind of on an even keel with my expectations. Robert Kirkman almost lost his house because he lost so much money funding failed comic book series. That's what indie comics making was like before Kickstarter. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's like me and Jose spent like a 10-year span between getting kicked out of Diamond and Kickstarter. the founding of Kickstarter.
Wandering the
it's
wilderness.
yeah, pretty much.
But luckily
it's
for you,
like on a horse with
gym
no
popped
name.
up during that time. Print on demand.
Well, right, exactly. So it's like these options began to open up for us, but even though we were still doing our books, we still kind of like didn't know exactly what our options were.
Right.
Until Kickstarter came along.
Right.
So now it's just keeping my because especially the last campaign kind of fucked me up. Because two things happened on my last campaign. The goal of my campaign for that was to manufacture a 10K campaign. That's really what I was trying to do with that last campaign. I didn't make it, but I mean, I still made like $7,200 on it, but the thing is though, because I had this 10K number stuck in my head, I kept seeing the campaign as a failure, because it didn't do what I was trying to get it to do. But at the same time, I ended up with the highest backer count I ever got on any of my campaigns, which is kind of like, okay, now how many of these people will stay? I don't know. So it just kind of like, I just created a lot of stress with myself on that last campaign and not really appreciating what it did accomplish. We couldn't keep our sales. We didn't sell enough. Honestly, it's not dramatic. It's just that, oh, you guys don't make money for us, so we don't want your book anymore. To the point where at the time, they wouldn't allow anybody else to have anything with our title.
They cock blocked them.
Yeah, because we had a toy seller who wanted to, he had our toys, our Silvermane toys, and he was putting it, and he was going to solicit it in Diamond, and Diamond told him he could sell everything else but that product.
Yep.
Even though we had nothing to do with each other. It's like, no, that title doesn't sell, so that toy is not going to sell, and we don't want it in the catalog. And that's when I pretty much said, I never want to hear about fucking Diamond ever again. I mean, yeah, that's, so 10 years in the wilderness.
And they can stay desperate.
It's funny, they're not, Grant. That's the funny thing. Grant is saying that Diamond is desperate for comics. They're not. Diamond has already said that now their business is mostly focused on toys and games. They're not desperate for comics because they're still making people jump through hoops to get into previews. So no, they're not desperate for comics. Oh, guess what? Indie comics is not the savior of indie comics.
Indie comics is not the savior of indie comics.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just trying to keep my expectations at a realistic level. Because here's also another thing too. So it's like, it was just ever since I did that crossover, on the last campaign, I was doing that crossover with Krista Crawford with her novels, right? And it really kind of made me think about how in indie comics is kind of like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Almost like that's a definition of something. I can't put my finger on it. But yeah, it just seems like, a lot of the times if we're not careful, it's like we're just running around in circles, and it's the same conversations over and over and over again. It's like, why? It's like, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, I guess because of that, that's why I started really looking into like different types of Kickstarters, especially like novels and how they promote their stuff. And I was just trying out some things. Let me show you guys something. So last week I showed you all this box of props that I bought to try to just do something visually different with the comic, because with books, it's like what I've been seeing a lot of is these flat lays where people pose their books with these little props and make it aesthetic or something like that. So I figured, what would a comic look like if I did that? So I took all my props and I started playing around with it. So here's the first flat lay that I came up with for issue 8, you know, and it's like, you know, I'm still kind of like trying to figure out like what I'm doing here. Like someone had recommended maybe trying a more muted tablecloth,
Yeah,
you know,
really
to kind
busy.
of like, yeah, because it's
Really
like
busy.
it's a little busy. But what I like though is that even with the busyness, the comic still stands out.
Yeah, it does.
You know, so it's like, yeah, so I'll probably tone down the background a bit. Like here's another one that I did. You know, oh, it's funny because Rob asked me the sword on the side, like if that's a mini Narsil. And I didn't realize it at the time. I just sent him a link. It's like, oh, you know, it's like I just bought it from Amazon. And then I looked up what Narsil looks like.
Yes.
And I go, oh, that is Narsil. It's a bootleg Narsil.
It sure the fuck is.
I think it's just, I think it's supposed to be like an envelope opener or something. But yeah, but it's a mini Narsil. The design is identical, but Amazon had it sold for like, oh, mini King Arthur sword. It's like, no.
We're not getting any copyrights.
Yeah, I know, exactly, right? And then it's, yeah, so I was just like trying out, you know, this this flat lay thing, just kind of like playing around with the idea. And it's like I don't know. It's like I don't quite know what to make of it yet. Because I kept reading, like especially on Etsy, that that like flat lays tend to sell better than, you know, like just taking a picture of the item or having like just a graphic of the item.
Right.
And I was kind of wondering if like that is something that maybe I could, you know, could play around with. But you know, so yeah, so
appreciate aesthetics.
yeah, that I really just like, yeah, it's like, you know,
Or
how
here I'll throw this out there. Another thing that I've noticed that gets better movement based on Bitly's tracking. Guys, stop with the fucking template. Stop. Stop covering your art and shit with your fucking brand. Those Kickstarter templates are great for the platform, but for your promotion, show your art. Show your art. Watermark it if you want or whatever, but lay your covers flat. Stop doing angles. Allow it to be accessible and croppable by other people who will promote and share your shit. Stop it.
Right.
It's too much.
Right. Also, the thing is, though,
it.
doesn't Facebook still penalize graphics
Yes,
that has
and
a lot of
if
text?
your graphic is over 20% text, you're going to be buried regardless of how beautiful your art is.
Yeah.
That it's a fact. Facebook will even tell you that. You can find that for yourself. They even offer graphs to the professional accounts that you can go and find that measure the percentage of text in image.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's like, so because yesterday I was working on a piece for Rob for the next Snowpaw campaign, and there I was doing something in Clip Studio Paint that I started mumbling, "Work smarter, not harder." That's where Nita got the name of the show, because it's like I was like doing a step and repeat, because like I was like drawing things over and over again and realized, oh, wait a minute, I could just step and repeat and kind of like mix it up a bit without having to redraw the same thing over and over again. Which is really why I really appreciate working in Clip Studio Paint, because it allows me to take a lot of shortcuts. That just makes me able to get more work done without working harder at it. Oh, thank you, Rob. Thank you. You guys, yeah, you guys will see it. We'll see a preview of it soon. So, but I mean, working smarter, not harder is, and I think that's also another reason why we all really do need to be realistic as to what we're doing with our books and our campaigns and how we promote. Because if you're working from delusion, you know, if you're working from the angle that, oh, you're going to save indie comics. You're
I'm
going
the
to
next
blow up.
Image Comics.
Right, you're the next Image Comics. You're going to be the next Stan Lee or something.
I'm the
It's
next Wizard magazine is the new
right.
trend this year.
Yeah, you know, it's you're going to have a hard time finding your equilibrium. Because it's again going back to the numbers. You know, it's like the fact that, okay, I have these numbers, I can work with them. It's like, okay, so if my average backers range between 152 and 155, I know I'm on track. Right? I know that from 105 people in 21 days, it's reasonable for me to get these people, the 152 to 155 backers. Yeah, you know,
That's not
Yeah.
how it works anymore. We've seen
Yeah.
campaigns come in with
Yeah.
these very well-known famous artists. And guess what? That people just aren't interested in that anymore.
Right. Yeah,
They're
it's
just not.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
all about the audience you have built already.
Yeah.
Sure, that may have gotten 1 or 2, maybe even 10 fucking
Right.
backers, but it didn't make a significant enough difference on the
Right.
campaign where the person who hired them felt
Right.
that they were more successful than usual.
Right. Yeah. It's like having an accurate assessment as to what your book can actually do, what your effort is actually doing. The ironic thing about it is that, I'm always the one to say that all you can do is do the best that you can, but in the end, you have no control over the result. You can do everything right and still stay in this 75% zone with the rest of us.
And that 75%
Right.
is successful.
Right. Because at least you funded. It's like a lot of people don't fund at all. I mean, if you scroll on the campaigns long enough, you could see the people who it's like they've only literally made the backer kit $1.
And people will try to minimize that number. Oh, well, comics, if it's comics, they majority of those fund and blah, blah, blah on Kickstarter.
Okay.
But here's the thing. What you guys don't see in those numbers are the ones who launched, realized there's no way in fucking hell we're going to fund, and dropped off.
Right. Yeah.
There are so many bodies in those ditches.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. But the thing is, though, a lot of it has to do with the fact that, that they're living in Mike Jimmy says you live in a day and age where a name is as irrelevant as the last time you pooped. Your work and consistency count for much more than the person behind it. Yeah, it's like, and that's what, that's, yeah. And HR is correct too. That design is like, I'm actually
aesthetic. Your aesthetic is everything.
Yeah. Like what's
and
funny,
your personality, your
that's true
aesthetic
too.
And your personality, which your personality is part of your aesthetic. So
Yeah.
guess what? If you're an asshole, people aren't going to like you and they're going to move on.
Right. Well, and even if they do support you for that, it gets boring really quick.
Yep.
And they're not loyal to you being an asshole. They're just like getting whatever adrenaline rush out of that. And then once they're bored with you, they move on. It has nothing to do with anything. But HR brought up a good point, though, because when I did these overlays, right, the one thing that really, really stood out for me, was the fact, and especially after seeing a lot of graphic design in romance novels, in the fantasy novels, is that I should have made that logo white. Because that's what I'm seeing a lot. Mike Jimmy saying talking big works for exactly 20 minutes, and then the facade drops and people see you're a bully. Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
that
just
too.
wait for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, honestly, it's like Jose had made the joke that that something about our motto. I think like our motto, it's like, oh, we don't give a shit. Actually, our motto, our unofficial motto is thanks to Meredith, and that is don't be an asshole.
Right. We'll talk to anyone who isn't an asshole.
Yeah, that's essentially our motto. But going back to the graphic design thing, it's
Family duty on and
it is that I started really looking at my logo, and I like my logo, but my color choice might have been a problem.
It would pop. It would separate. Yeah, HR said it would separate. Yeah, it would pop more
if I had the white where it was blue. And that's what I noticed on a lot of fantasy covers, is that they were always either white or silver. So it's like, oh yeah, and you can see it from a distance. And it's like, and it works really well when you have like gold, overlay and the fancy stuff. Like a simple, a really well designed logo is well, it's like, look, people not liking you. Yeah, it's like there's always going to be people who don't like you. You see, and this is, I think,
if everybody likes you, I automatically am sus of you. Because if everybody likes you, that means you have no backbone, no self-respect, no.
Right. No. It's like you're just and also you're just creating mush. Yeah. You're just creating a gray paste. I mean, Disney is concerned about everybody liking them. Because the more generalized they make their content, the more people, buy it. And, it's just a gray mush, and the only way to do that is to
plain
make
oatmeal. It's plain oatmeal for breakfast every day.
Yeah. So, but the thing, that's also another thing too. There's always going to be people who don't like you. They don't like your book. And it's like, okay, all you can really do is that's fine. It's like, okay, we're not making stuff for everybody. You see, yeah. So going back to my thought process of working from delusion, right? And delusion really keeps creators from optimizing what they're doing, because they're trying to force something that's not happening because it's fake. As opposed to looking at their actual numbers and going, oh, okay, my book actually did a lot better than the first issue. So there's actually an improvement here. What am I doing right? And how do I expand on that improvement? Right? But instead, the delusion is telling them, oh, your backers aren't backing all of your books. You do not have an 100% return rate. There's no such thing as 100% return rate. There's no such thing as 100%, conversion. There's no such thing. So why are you chasing that? You're not this next Stan Lee. There's already been a Stan Lee. You're not the next Todd McFarlane. There's already a Todd McFarlane. I mean, it's like it's like you're not the next Image, because the foundation of what made Image possible does not exist anymore. And it's like making that the focus of why you're doing what you're doing. It's like you're only setting yourself up for disappointment, because you're not going to reach that goal. Statistically, you're not. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like you're not going to reach that goal. But the thing is, though, the information that tells you what goals you are going to reach are right in front of you. Kickstarter, the analytics, I mean, it's there for a reason, for you to see how your comic actually does. If you're using BackerKit and seeing how your it's like how your backers are reacting to your to whatever it is you put out. The information's right there, as to whether they're interested in this or not interested in this. And I'm not talking about changing your book to satisfy a fickle consumer base. I'm not talking about that. If you're doing the book you want to do, that's the book you do.
Right.
The thing is that you have to be realistic that, as to how it's going to perform considering what you're doing. You don't have, if you don't have like a venture capitalist firm backing you to force success, yeah, you're going to have a much harder time. There you go, Rob. See? So it's like, like another thing that I realized, again, my reality, like changing, it's like just all I had to do was change my angle to change my reality, right?
Right.
My mailing list. Holy shit. It's like my mailing list has been a disaster for a while, right? I was using MailChimp. Every time I mailed out an email, it was like nobody opened it. Maybe I could get 20 people to open up an email. And even then, most of the time I just like would put like, oh yeah, Eagle Ravens on Kickstarter just in the title, so at least people would see the title and they would get notified that way, right? And I was incredibly frustrated with my mailing list, incredibly frustrated. Then I got recommended to do BackerKit. And I got recommended to do BackerKit, which began to show me a different profile, which began to show me different things on the audiences. That's when I realized, different books, different audiences, and who was answering emails and who, so it's like I began to kind of like really like, oh, okay, so it's not as bad as I thought. Once I had like the different angle of being on BackerKit to show me different data or data, depending on however you say it. So I began to work with that, but MailChimp was still frustrating for me because even though BackerKit, I was having a better response from the people who's already backed our previous campaigns, I still had around 400 people who were being hard asses. I still had 400 people who signed up through the websites and they just wouldn't. I don't know. It's like they signed up and they wouldn't engage with my stuff at all. So it's like I'm hammering, and it's like, and I don't understand. It's like, why is it I cannot get these people to respond? It's like they signed up for my mailing list, right? Why aren't they engaging, right?
They're shy.
So then I was reading something about Substack. Again, it's like that the people are moving their emails to Substack. Now, I've had a Substack account since it first opened, but I never utilized it because I didn't like their terms of service when it came to adult work, right? So I never did anything with it. So now, you see, and I think that's it too. Mike Jimmy saying MailChimp often automatically goes into people's spam boxes.
I'm going to be Randy for a second.
Oh, okay. And that might have been a lot of the issue too, right? So I started like, you know what? I'm seeing this trend of people going, like moving their mailing list to Substack. So I'm looking at Substack again. I'm looking at my account. And you see the differences with Substack though, right? Is that you actually have to actively engage your audience on Substack. You can't just send a buy my shit email and call it a day. In fact, that's also against the terms of service of Substack. They want you to write blogs. They want you to engage your audience. They want you to purposefully write something that gives value to your audience outside of buy my shit, right? So what I did on my first, I cleaned up my site. I transferred all of my emails over to Substack, which also, by the way, they actually have to approve your mailing list.
Right.
Because they do not want people who use list builders to put because list builders, you're not sure who actually consented to be on a mailing list or not. So they don't want that. They only want people who actually consented to be on your mailing list. So so I transferred over my mailing list to Substack and it took about a couple of days for them to approve my list. And then once I had my list, I was good to go. So I cleaned up my site. And what I did was I took an idea that originally was supposed to be for a YouTube video that I never got around to doing. That's a whole other thing that I want to talk about in another episode. Again, about working smarter, not harder. And especially when it comes to working on social media, you know, you have to be on social media, but you hate making social media. That's another discussion. We'll save for another episode. So I took an idea, an outline that I was going to use for a video, and I instead broke that outline down into a blog post for Substack, you know, just to try it out. You know, on my first Substack post, where MailChimp was only 20, I'd be lucky if I get 20 people to open up my emails on MailChimp. I had over 600 people open up my email on Substack. 600.
I was one.
Right. You know, and that was for a later one because
your
then,
email.
right, exactly. And then it's like what I did on my next one. I did the same thing. I took an outline that was supposed to be for a YouTube video, converted it into a blog, and then on top of it, added an excerpt from my novel, which is also another reason too that I liked about Substack in the end. Once I realized I could do that, because Substack optimizes long form content, I was actually able to feature my writing that I couldn't do anywhere else. You know, it's like people aren't going to read nothing longer than 2 lines on Facebook. They're just going to see your picture really quick, hit the thumb, and then move on, right? But on Substack, there's the expectation you're reading something. So I was able to feature my writing on Substack. So my last post that I sent out, which not for nothing, I did put an ad for my campaign. You know, so I started off with an introduction, put an ad for my campaign, and then moved on with the rest of the blog. And I still had around like 400 and something people open that email. You know, so here I was hammering away, wasting my time on MailChimp, right? You know, hammering at these people, wondering why aren't you opening up my emails? Why? It's like, you signed up for this. And all I had to do was change formats. All I had to do was essentially go to a platform that they actually were interested in what I was doing. You know, it's like, yeah, by the way, it's like, yeah, probably most likely if it has MailChimp in it, it automatically goes to spam, right? But with Substack, people are reading it. I mean, it's like they're reading, you know, my blog. I mean, and I actually had some engagement on it. And it's like, oh, again, work smarter, not harder. You know, now it's like I'm doing something. Again, I'm taking my outlines that I have a whole bunch of outlines for YouTube, for videos I decided I'm not going to make, convert them into blog posts, right? And now I'm engaging with this audience that I was fighting with on MailChimp. You know, the same thing. It's like the same thing. It's like that takes a lot of pressure off. You know, and that's the funny thing. So instead of me saying why, it's like, oh, this is working. This is finally working. I enjoy writing the blogs. You know, I enjoy writing. You know, it's like people get to see my excerpts from the novels as I work on them. You know, it's like, and they're opening up my emails now. It's the same thing that happened when I decided to, like, you know, let's say, okay, I'm not going to be using Twitter anymore, right? But I opened up a Blue Sky and I just started just posting sporadically there, just updates. Because it's like, again, I didn't know, you know, what platform was. So here I am on Twitter fighting. Why aren't you assholes paying attention? I have 1,500 people following me on Twitter, but I'll be lucky if 2 people even retweet my stuff, if I'm lucky, right? why, hammer, right? I start, I open up a Blue Sky account. I start just not really thinking about it, right? Just Blue Sky. It's like, oh, my posts. Oh, it's like 18 people like this, 24 people like this. It's like, it's like, oh, wait a minute. There's people here who are interested in my stuff. There's people not interested on Twitter, but now I'm seeing some interest and engagement on my stuff on Twitter. I mean, on Blue Sky. So what does that mean? Again, the pressure is off. Blue Sky, I think, is now going to replace Twitter on my main social media feed. Because it's like, oh, I'm seeing something here. Something happened here. This is an audience that's more engaged with my work is here. But meanwhile, I was over here fighting with Twitter when in the end, I just had to pay attention to what how the other platforms was doing. Threads didn't do it. Thread is, I think, is like dead in the water.
Threads is weird. No, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's coming too now that they're allowing a single hashtag.
Right.
But it's still.
But but still though, I didn't do anything on Blue Sky, and I'm getting a lot more engagement on Blue Sky. So again, it's like, oh, so I can stop hammering at Twitter and start paying attention to Blue Sky instead. Because like, oh, I'm getting engagement there. Because here's the thing. It's like, it's like now that I'm seeing that return of attention, it makes me want to grow that more, It's like, you're sitting there and it's like having like these 3 pots on your windowsill, right? And you're fighting with the one that will not grow. You're fighting with the empty pot of dirt, when you have the basil and the oregano kind of blooming on the sides here.
Right.
It's like, stop fighting with the empty pot of dirt, with the jar of dirt. Stop fighting with it. It's like the reality of the situation is that whatever it is you tried to grow there does not grow there. So focus on the reality of the plants that are growing beside you. It's like, stop living with the delusion that you're some kind of grand gardener, that you can do whatever you want and you're going to be the next whatever. You're not. What does your numbers say? What does your actual algorithm say? What does your actual data say about your books? That's the information that you follow. And here's the thing. Is it going to be disheartening information? Yeah, a lot of the times, yes. You're not always, because it's like, again, you can do everything right and still not get the results you want. But the thing is, though, is that it's a lot easier for you to know how you're going to zig and zag if you're working from a place of reality, not from a place of imagination. Imagination is for your book, not for your data, not for your business plan.
No.
It's like, what your numbers are saying and what can you do with that information? It's like, what are you going to do with that information? If the data tells you that your least popular book is now beginning to see traction because you just ended up with more backers than your first issue, what do you do with that information? It's like, you can either look at it, it's like, oh, well, I'm not the next Stan Lee, so it's a failure. What do you do with that information? But if you go, hey, I'm growing, hey, I have more backers now. Where are they coming from? And where do I get more of them? How do I get more of them? That's actually an easier question for you to focus on. If you're gaining backers, that's a good sign. It doesn't matter whether it's not the amount of backers that you want. The fact that it's growing, that's what you want. You don't look at the little sapling coming out of the jar of dirt and going, yeah, but you're not an oak tree. You're not an oak tree right now.
Right.
You're no good to me, You're not a salad. It's like, you're not a lettuce. I can do something. It's like, you're just this little thing. But the shit's growing. You finally, it's like, it's growing, It's like, do you stop watering your plant because it's not an oregano yet that you can use? It's not that one pepper. It's just that one scrawny pepper. It's like, do you stop watering it? Do you stop taking care of it? So it's the same thing with your book. It's like, you look at your numbers. It's like, what do you have to do? It's like, do you have to fertilize it? Do you have to add more water? Maybe it needs more sun. Maybe it needs a different pH for the soil. Maybe it needs a different logo. Maybe you need a different cover design. Maybe it's like, this is just where it is. Maybe you have a consistency. You're still going to be in with the rest of us at the 75%, but at least you're consistent. That means you have a consistent audience. Isn't that worth something?
Consistent audience is everything.
So work smarter by actually looking at the data you have, because it will make you work more efficiently to what you need to strive for, as opposed to hammering at an audience that won't answer your emails.
Right.
Hammering at a social media platform where nobody engages with you.
Right.
Put the hammer down, right? And step back and figure out, okay, what's the bigger picture? Where am I not looking?
Where's the fertile earth?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's like, this is just dirt. It's just cement dirt here, and I'm trying to grow a zucchini.
The shit is salted and it's gone bad.
Right, exactly. It's like, stop trying to sell milkshakes at a Home Depot. Or buy milkshakes at a Home Depot. You can't do either.
Word.
You cannot buy milkshakes at a Home Depot. So stop trying to do that. It's a lot easier if you get your milkshakes at Carvel than if you get your milkshakes at Home Depot. Stop trying to buy milkshakes at Home Depot. Moral of the story. Oh my goodness. Any final thoughts?
I got plenty of final thoughts, but I'm going to
Okay.
sum them up really quick, because
Okay.
I'm going to talk about peppers and growth. Okay, so tune in tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. Tina and I will be doing a ramen bulldog challenge of the 2 times super hot spicy noodles. It's going to be a fucking blast. We'll probably throw up or something. I don't know. Maybe not tune in. I don't know. Watch or don't.
Right.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Right.
Okay. So, and second off, we're going to talk about growth for just a second.
Okay.
But I have a cute little segue to it. Ready?
Oh no. Okay, hit it.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what everyone thinks I'm gonna do. Flip out, man. All I want to know is who's coming with me. Who's coming, man? Who's coming with me? Huh? Who's coming with me, man?
All right. So, who's coming with me? Okay, this is what I want to talk about. Okay, so first up, we have Christie Shinn, who is bringing lunch hour to us Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Indie Comics Network. And let's see what else we have going on. We have Timothy B Fling, who also be joining us with the Creative Cranium. That will be on Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern, but the first episode will be February 16th at 10 p.m. Eastern, live on the Indie Comics Network. Oh, that was an accident. Yeah. So anyway, I'm excited. We've got a lot of shit going down, bunch of new stuff coming, and
Valar Morghulis.
Valar Duhairis.
yeah.
Oh man, but that's pretty exciting. It's nice to have them over. Welcome, Tim and Christie Shinn to
And I have a meeting tomorrow with some more folks.
Oh,
And
very nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
we are expanding, we are growing.
Oh, that's nice.
And
So
it's
there's
a beautiful
always going to
thing.
be something for someone to watch.
Always.
Right. So we can go on
20 or
vacation
3
again.
plays, vacations, whatever.
Right, yeah.
Just
So-
chilling and doing what we all love without anybody, it's
Right.
just what it is. Like we're just
Right.
gonna have fun and keep going.
No, that's great. That's great. I like that. I guess I also like really quick. Again, I just want to thank everybody who backed Eagle Raven issue 8. The campaign is in the show notes below. Thank you so much, everybody who is backing that so far. We have 20 days to go on it. There's a couple of campaigns that I just want to go through really quick. Before we go. So again, here we go. Yeah, so Eagle Raven, Air the First Unicorn, issue 8. Links in the show notes below. Also, on pre-launch right now, the Oswald Chronicles, it broke free and couldn't read trade paperback. So sign up for that. It's the next trade paperback in the Oswald Chronicles series. So that's going to be launching soon as well. Speaking of Rob Multari, Snowpaw issues 1 through 3, a 19th century Scottish female werewolf fantasy, is also on Kickstarter on pre-launch right now. Thank you so much to the 152 followers who have hit notify me so that you get notified when the campaign goes live. I think he's scheduled to go live in sometime in March. We're looking forward to that. Also, Heirs of Isildure, The Perilous Prospects, books 1 and 3. It's Matt Knowles' book, steampunk fantasy. It's live right now.
I got a clip. You want me to throw it real quick?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Hit it. Yep. So thank you so
look,
much
teaser.
to the 70 backers who've backed so far. He's about halfway through his goal with 20 days to go. So that all the links are in the show notes below. And last but not least, Sacramony issues 1 through 7, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death, is on Kickstarter in its last 3 days. It's very close to goal. 158 backers. Beautiful book. So it's like, yeah. So it's Mada's book. So it's on Kickstarter right now. Again, link is in the show notes below for all of these books. So yes, I just wanted to show that off really quick before we went. So
And I'll be going out with a couple of bumps. I just didn't want you to okay.
Okay, no problem. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in the chat. We are going a little over, but that's okay. So thank you so much for sticking out with us. And thank you so much for all our beautiful eyeball people who stuck it out with us in this hour and 12 minutes. Usually we don't go this long over, but sometimes it happens because, it's like, look, sometimes I just get carried away and talk too much. So, all right. So I don't know. You guys seem to enjoy it anyway. So also, I want to thank everybody who joined me on my first draw stream of the year on Wednesday. Thank you so much. I finished up that Tall Tales piece that I was working on there. If you guys missed the stream, it is in the playlist for it down below on our main channel. So you can go check that out as well. Thank you so much for us breaking in February with a new draw stream. So so we will be back on Monday with another episode of whatever this is. Maybe I'll remember to finally talk about more about like platform fatigue and what exactly I'm doing, trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to survive this social media nonsense? Maybe we'll talk more about that on Monday. But so thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. And in the words of the ancients, I need some water too. In the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't do my outro. Oh my God, I am so out of it today. No wonder I felt. You see, the ancients were trying to stop me by cracking my voice. So there we go. If you want to learn more about me and my artwork and everything else, you can head on over to my main portfolio site, egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. You can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you are interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress updates. And remember, you can check me out on YouTube for all my videos and semi-weekly art live streams Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And also you can read Eager Raven for free, uploading every day, Monday through Friday. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings, you can head on over to Tall Tales, TAILSonline.com. And not only can you read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free, you can catch up on the latest story arc, Tears of the Mother, which is also currently uploading Monday through Friday. Oh my God, now we can get back to the ancients. Oh my God. You see, this is how people end up with babies on the roof of their cars.
Oh shit.
They skip one thing and then their entire day is a mess. And in the words of the ancients, don't put your baby on top of your car. Eat your food, moisturize. Drink water. Definitely drink water. Eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work, because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Saying, live your motherfucking life. You got to get your motherfucking hustle. Understand niggas is going to hate you regardless. Get that out of your head, that fantasy world where niggas ain't hating on you. You got to be grateful. You need haters. What the fuck is you complaining about? What the fuck do you think a hater's job is? To fucking hate. So let them motherfuckers do their goddamn job. What the...